Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you would know that the title of tonight's show is A Second Chance. And that is because tomorrow we are having a full moon at 19 degrees of Sagittarius, and it is conjuncting Saturn in the sign as well. And so Sagittarius rules the traditional ninth house of the higher mind. And so it rules long distance travel, it rules people from foreign countries, and it also rules large international organizations, and it rules religion and philosophy and higher education, such as four-year colleges and graduate school. And it also rules all large international bodies that have some sort of legal standing. And that is because Sagittarius also rules the whole judicial system, including the courts, and that would be worldwide. So this is a time when you might get a second chance to begin something new, and the second chance could be coming up pretty soon, and it may have been precipitated by some sort of delay. In other words, the first time around, perhaps something didn't really quite go through. And the element of delay has to be considered because Saturn is the planet of delay and obstruction, and it is conjuncting the full moon in Sagittarius tomorrow. And we know under a full moon that the moon opposes the sun, but there's more than that going on right now. And that is because that full moon at 19 degrees along with Saturn are being opposed by the sun at 19 degrees of Gemini, and Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, is in the sign as well. And all four of these planets are being squared harshly by Neptune in Pisces. And so that means that there certainly could be some opposition around, some indecision, or even some treachery, and that may have delayed something as well. But Saturn and the full moon in Sagittarius are trining Uranus in Aries. Aries is the sign of new beginnings, and Uranus is the planet of sudden surprising change. So there might be some sudden surprising change that allows you to get a second chance at something that involves a new beginning, which would be great. But there are some obstacles that have to be considered. One of them, of course, is that harsh T-cross immutable signs of 5 planets, which I just described, between the Sun and the Moon, and Saturn and Mercury and Neptune. But there's another thing that is going on, and that is something that we really need to consider, and that, I think, is the real reason why you might get a second chance. And it is that there are 3 planets which have all just recently changed signs, and they have moved into 3 consecutive new signs. And they are very powerful, more powerful actually than the full moon. And that is because Venus has now moved into Taurus, the sign it rules, and it is at 3 degrees of Taurus. Well, there aren't any other planets in any of the fixed signs, so that Venus in Taurus is really at its very finest right now, and it is being backed up and trined by Pluto in Capricorn. Ahead of that is Mercury in Gemini. It has just moved into Gemini, and it is at 5 degrees of Gemini. The sun is also there at 19 degrees. 5, though, is the number of Gemini, and it is in near perfect alignment with that Venus in Taurus. And so it is very strong because it's at home in the sign it rules. It's also very strong along with the sun in Gemini because Jupiter in Libra is trining those planets, and Jupiter is going to go direct the day after the full moon. And so that can be good because it can turn around or help settle legal matters or partnership issues, and that could give you a second chance at something, which is great. Ahead of Taurus and Gemini is Mars, which has just moved into Cancer. And Mars is at 3 degrees. And so Mars in Cancer and Venus in Taurus, both at 3 degrees, are in perfect alignment. And Mercury is in almost perfect alignment with both of those, Mercury in Gemini. So these planets are extremely strong right now. They're at the beginning of their signs. They're going to be there a while. And the dominance and strength of these planets, so well placed in these signs, can give you some impetus now, or chance, a second chance at something. So you need to keep that in mind, that they're very well placed and strong. However, there is something else that we have to be aware of right now. And it is that finally, since Mars has moved on and is now in Cancer, there is a very harsh grand cross in cardinal signs. And we need to be aware of that, because there can be some danger involved in that. And a dangerous situation could actually ignite some new beginning, which might give you a second chance at something as well. And so let's be aware that Uranus in Aries, which is a cardinal sign, is the planet of sudden surprising change and rebellion. And Uranus rules anything that goes through the air. So it rules electricity, aviation, space, it rules music, it rules inventions, and it certainly rules things that can change very, very quickly. That Uranus in Aries is being squared now by Mars in Cancer. Mars is the ruler of Aries, but now it's in harsh aspect to the sign it rules. And Mars is a malefic planet, and Uranus is a malefic planet, and they are in very harsh aspect. So that is an indication that it's not a good time to fly, because Uranus does rule flying. And also, it can indicate some sort of possibility of a cyber attack. Okay, and so you need to be aware of that, because that could affect you and lead you on to making a new beginning. So Uranus in Aries is being squared by Mars, but that Uranus is also being opposed by Jupiter in Libra. And Jupiter is about to become much stronger, because the day after tomorrow it will be going direct in Libra and stay that way until October 11th, when it leaves the sign. And so it's opposing Uranus, but it's also squaring Mars. And then what we really need to watch out for as well is that Mars in Cancer is now opposing Pluto in Capricorn. Mars and Pluto are the rulers of Scorpio, a fixed financial sign, which rules financing, but it rules credit, debt, taxes, insurance, costs, and it rules the whole medical field and the military. It rules justice, and it rules loans or money coming in from any other source. But now the rulers of Scorpio are opposing each other. And on top of that, Pluto is squaring Uranus, and Mars is squaring Uranus. And remember, Uranus is that planet of volatility and sudden change. So there is the possibility that if there was a cyber attack, it might be on a financial institution, or it could be on something that involves water, or an electrical grid. You know, anything that goes through the air. And the reason why I mention water is because Mars is in a water sign, Cancer, which is also the sun sign of Canada and the United States. So we need to be aware that there is a possibility or a danger or a threat that could come about very suddenly, and believe it or not, that might ignite some sort of second chance at you making a new beginning. I don't know how, but it could do that. And so we have to be very careful of that. And the reason that I think that we need to be careful is because malefic planets are involved right now. Mars is squaring Uranus, but the third malefic planet is Saturn, and the full moon is conjuncting Saturn. So all of the malefic planets are being affected in one way or another, and that can create trouble either now or down the road. And so my advice is twofold right now. One is that I think that if you can't really prepare for the unexpected, then the whole idea would be that you should be saying to yourself, safety first, and be very conscious of your own safety and the safety of your loved ones, and really guard that. And that would be for a while. Remember that Mars is at the beginning of Cancer. It's not going to be out of the sign for a while. And so you need to be aware that safety should be a high priority of yours right now. And then the other thing that you can do is, since Mercury and the Sun are in Gemini, and Gemini rules easy change or transition and simple things, you should use your common sense to follow a simple plan, and whatever you decide to do, keep it really simple. You don't have to make grand gestures right now. You don't have to even complete anything right now. You might want to just start something temporary. Well, actually, that's very well favored because it's ruled by Gemini, and Mercury is in Gemini right now, very strong, and it's in alignment with Venus and Mars. So you do need to be very, very careful, but you also may get a second chance to make a new beginning. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, I think for you, you are going to have to be really, really careful right now, because there's a grand cross among the 4 cardinal signs, yours, Aries, and Cancer, and Libra, and Capricorn. And so with planets squaring and opposing your sign, it can simply mean that, and particularly since one of them is your own ruler, Mars, which is squaring Uranus in your sign, you really have to be careful not to overdo anything and not to react too quickly to anything. Remember, with Uranus in your sign, you can be highly creative, but if you react in a volatile way to anything or overreact, you could really regret that. And there is the possibility that there could be some problem connected to finances and also to a matter in the home or with a family member, since Mars is in Cancer, and that's what Cancer rules. So you should be really careful right now, Aries, because that Saturn and full moon in Sagittarius are trining your sun. That is very supportive, but they are under duress. And so they can't be much help to you. And remember, this is one of the rare times when a full moon is not as powerful as other planets that have to be considered. So I think you should use caution, particularly for the next week, or perhaps for the whole next month, Aries. And that is because you really can't foresee a threat or a danger that is coming at you just out of nowhere. But you can guard your safety, so I hope you do that. All right, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time when you can absolutely do no wrong. Lucky you, Taurus. And that is because Venus is in your sign. It is in perfect alignment with Mars, which is in Cancer. Both planets are at 3 degrees and sextile each other. And it's also in near perfect alignment with Mercury in Gemini, which is right ahead of your sun sign because Mercury is at 5 degrees. And there are no planets in the other fixed signs opposing or squaring your sun. So with your own ruler at home in the sign it rules, you can be in a very loving and charming frame of mind, Taurus. And Pluto in Capricorn is trining your sun, so you might have your mind on long-term security, and you may decide to go ahead with things that can increase that. In other words, you might be looking for a promotion. You may be deciding to invest in a few more things that can rise in value and help keep you comfortable in your old age, which is great. Or you may just decide that you want to increase the value of something by working really hard at it right now, and you may get a somewhat second chance to do that. And your health can improve, since Virgo is the sign of health and it trines your sun, and your long-term security can improve as well. So you absolutely can do no wrong right now, and you are not only very well loved, Taurus, but I think you're also in the mood to be loving. And so I hope you enjoy this wonderful time. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is a time when you really do you need to be on guard. And the reason why is that yours is a mutable sign. So the Sun and Mercury in your sign are being opposed tomorrow by the full moon and Saturn in Sagittarius. And the planets in your sign are also being squared by Neptune in Pisces. And that can indicate indecision, deception, and treachery. So what it means, Gemini, is that you may not know who to trust. And so I wouldn't if I were you. You should be checking all the facts right now. But actually, Mercury at home in your sign, and it's the ruler of the sign, and it's at 5 degrees, which is the number that rules your sign, indicates that you are in a somewhat more powerful position than people realize. And on top of that, Venus in Taurus is right behind your sun sign, which means in the background of your life, you are more popular than you realize, Gemini. And in fact, you can be very well loved and well regarded right now, which is very nice for you. Also, Jupiter in Libra is going direct the day after tomorrow, and that can help you with partnership issues, and it can help you settle some sort of legal matter, which should work out pretty well sometime this summer. So you do have those good things to look forward to, but you need to keep your guard up, Gemini, under this full moon, because people with old grudges can be aiming their venom at you. And what my advice to you is that you have got to not fight yesterday's battles. If somebody comes at you with the same old thing that they've been attacking you for a long time, you have got to turn your back and ignore them. Because it's not going to do you any good to fight yesterday's battles, particularly not since your sign trines the sign of Aquarius, which rules the future. That's the direction you need to go in. And Uranus in Aries, which does rule the future, is sextiling your sun. And Mars in Cancer is also sextiling your sun. You don't have too much trouble to worry about from new people. It's the old cronies or the people that have been attacking you for a long time that are from the past that you must just put aside. Win, lose, or draw, you have got to move on right now, Gemini, because your future is looking a whole lot better right now, and you need to take advantage of it. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time when you need to be very cautious. And that is because something suddenly surprising and very challenging could happen to you at any time. And that is because Uranus, that planet of volatility and sudden change in Aries, is squaring Mars in your own sign. Jupiter in Libra is squaring that Mars, and the financial danger could come from Pluto in Capricorn, which is now opposing Mars in your sign. So since yours is a cardinal sign, it's part of this somewhat dangerous and threatening grand cross in cardinal signs. So I wouldn't take a gamble on anything right now, Cancer. And in fact, you are somewhat aspected to be subject to a sudden unpleasant surprise. And yet, anybody could could have a chance for a second chance at something, and your second chance may come about even due to an unpleasant surprise that could somehow direct you more toward making a dream come true, a very fond dream of yours, in fact, one you've had for a long time. And that is because Mars in your own sign is now being trined by Neptune in Pisces. So win, lose, or draw for you too, Cancer. I think it is better if you did move on and work toward a dream that could come true, one that is all your own. And if there is an unpleasant surprise, it may give you a second chance at something you'd rather be doing anyway. So there would be a silver lining in it. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time when you can be somewhat fortunate and not have to worry too much about the problems that some other people can be facing, and that is because yours is a fire sign, and Uranus in Aries is trining your sun, and so is the full moon and Saturn tomorrow in Sagittarius. They will be trining your sun sign. And so I think there is the possibility, Leo, since Saturn is involved with this full moon, it's conjuncting the full moon, that you may get some delayed news. And it could be somewhat sobering news, or and not exactly sad news, but it would be news about a serious matter. And so that is something that could drive you toward taking a second chance on something new. Remember, Uranus in Aries is also trining your sun. There really aren't any bad aspects to your sun sign except one, and it is that Venus in Taurus is squaring your sun sign, and that is an indication that you might have your mind on something pretty pricey right now, or you might be feeling like falling in love, Leo. And it would be with somebody who would be very financially secure as well. Except that, you know, if you're thinking of buying or investing in something expensive, you'd better try not to take a gamble on anything. It better be something you can really afford right now, Leo, because gambling is not well aspected right now. And then add the volatility of this harsh Grand Cross in cardinal signs, which predicts volatility and some sort of unpleasant surprise. And that's why you shouldn't take a gamble. So really think about whatever you want right now. Ask yourself if you can afford it. And if there's any way you can put it off. In other words, you might be able to afford it now, but you know now is not the time to really be letting go of money. Not with Mars and Pluto opposing each other. So if you could invest or buy something a little later down the road when these harsh aspects have passed, that might be a little safer for you. And if you do get some really serious news, don't worry, you'll be able to handle it, Leo. So that will be good. And remember, there aren't any real harsh aspects to your sun sign, so I think you will be able to handle things. All right, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, yours is a mutable sign, and there are 5 planets in mutable signs in a harsh T-cross, and they are all squaring or opposing your sun sign, Virgo. And so, of course, there can be a lot of indecision, deception, and treachery around you, Virgo, and you certainly wouldn't know who to believe right now. And so my advice is don't believe anybody until you have really checked out their story. And they could have very convincing stories right now, so it might take you a little while to check the facts. But you need to do that first before you trust anybody right now. And that is in relationships. However, in finances, I think you're doing great. Venus has now gone into Taurus, and it is trining your sun, which is very favorable for you. It means there's really good money coming your way, or some investment that you have made is probably worth even more than you thought it would be, and that could be great for you. And your long-term security can be looking really good right now because Pluto in Capricorn is also trining your sun. So as far as finances go or your career goes, I think you're okay. But people around you, even at work, can be treacherous or indecisive. And then on top of that, with Mars and Pluto opposing each other and Mars squaring Uranus, there is always that possibility of some sudden surprise that could either be shocking or it could involve some sort of identity theft or cyber attack right now. And so you do need to be, you need to watch out for that, Virgo. Everybody needs to watch out for that. But luckily, I think your finances are doing okay. All right, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time when I think that you can be just about ready to succeed at something. And that is because tomorrow the full moon is in Sagittarius, and along with Saturn, those 2 planets sextile your sun where you have Jupiter. But the next day, Jupiter goes direct in your sun sign, and it is trining a powerful Mercury in Gemini and the sun as well. And those planets are trining the sign of Aquarius. So you too cannot afford to look back or engage yourself in with people who are from your past, when actually your future is starting to look really good, Libra. And although yours is a cardinal sign, so Mars in Cancer is squaring your sign, Pluto in Capricorn is squaring your sign, and Uranus in Aries is opposing your sign, you do have some pitfalls to watch out for. And so you really do need to consider safety first right now, Libra. It's very important for you to do that and to keep your plans really simple, because you know it's pretty hard to defeat a simple plan. It's the tricky ones that always get messed up, but not the simple ones. And so keep things simple right now and safe, Libra, because I think you're going to have a great summer. Just don't overdo anything and focus on your future, not your past or anybody in it. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, Venus in Taurus is the only planet in a fixed sign, and it is opposing your sun sign, and it's very powerful because it rules Taurus. So I think, Scorpio, this is not a good time for you to take a financial gamble, and even if you can afford something, I would put it off if I were you, because there is the possibility of some sort of cyber attack on a financial institution, and you wouldn't want it to be the one you're involved with, so hang on to your money if you can. But because Venus in Taurus is opposing your sun sign, and it is a very loving planet, I would say, Scorpio, that there is somebody at a distance who loves you or thinks very highly of you, really admires you, but they are very busy now trying to do something for the best, trying to do something good or something noble. And so they may not be contacting you, but they are thinking loving thoughts of you, and even though they are far away at the moment. So you can console yourself at least with knowing that you're being loved from a distance, Scorpio. And Mars in Cancer is trining your sun, and so is Neptune in Pisces. So there is the possibility that you may be wanting to work on a project at home or helping a family member with a problem. And just be sure that you hang on to your money while you're doing all that, Scorpio, because this wouldn't be a good time for you to let go of money. Just hang on to it, and perhaps you can settle a financial matter later, but don't take a gamble now. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarius? Well, Sagittarius, this is a time with that full moon tomorrow in your sign, along with Saturn, that you really do have to be very, very careful. And that is because Saturn is the planet of delay or obstruction, or sometimes it can represent depression. It can also represent authority figures. So no matter how you feel about something, you may be involved with taking on some increased responsibility right now. But that could give you a second chance at a new beginning, because Uranus in Aries is trining your sun. But you may not know who to trust either, because the Sun and Mercury in Gemini, which are very strong right now, are opposing Saturn and the full moon tomorrow in your sign, and Neptune in Pisces is squaring those planets. And so I don't think that you can trust everybody right now, and there may be people around you that do not have your best interests in mind, Sagittarius, and they may be trying to manipulate you or use you, and so you have to be really careful right now. Not only safety first, but you really have to keep things as simple as you can, and try not to believe a lot of people right now unless they can back up what they're saying with real facts and proof. So try to be cautious if you can. All right, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time when you can have very good news about money, because Venus in Taurus is trining your sun. So that's good. And that money, whatever the news is or whatever amount might be coming to you, can be something that can help shore up your long-term security. So that could be music to your ears. But at the same time, you need to be aware that there could be sudden change in your life somewhere. And it isn't that you're causing it, but still, Mars in Cancer is opposing Pluto in your sun sign, Jupiter in Libra is squaring Pluto, and so is Uranus in Aries. And so this is a time when there can be danger around, and there can be threat from some sort of cyber attack or some sort of sudden accident. And so you have to be very careful of things coming too quickly at you. And if there is the possibility of putting off any kind of a trip that involves flying, I would put it off. Capricorn, do it later, but not right now, because Uranus is squaring your sun, and that Uranus is being very harshly aspected by Mars, which is opposing your sun. So try to be as careful as you can and enjoy your good financial fortune. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a great time for you to think about getting a second chance at a new beginning that involves your future. And that new beginning might be coming through an agreeable settlement of a legal matter, since Jupiter in Libra is trining your sun. Or you could be thinking about something pretty pricey that you can't quite afford, but you could attract new investors or new partners, and maybe between your money and their money, you might be able to afford something, as long as you don't take a gamble on anything. So you need to be really sure about what you're doing. But the communication can flow right now because the Sun and Mercury in Gemini are trining your Sun. So I say go ahead with plans right now, but still keep it simple, Aquarius, because you don't have to really be successful everywhere with everything right now. Just keep it simple and go a little bit at a time. That way you will be successful. All right, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, yes, Mars in Cancer is trining your sun, which means there can be a matter at home or dealing with a real estate or a family member that can be somewhat unpredictable or volatile, or make you very, very busy right now. So there could be the possibility of a move, or there could be some abrupt change among family members or in your home life. And so you have to sort of go with the flow right now on that, Pisces. But yours is a mutable sign, and that full moon and Saturn in Sagittarius are squaring your sun, and the Sun and Mercury in Gemini are also squaring your sun. You too may not know who to believe right now. And so there is the possibility that you could get a second chance at making a new beginning, but it may come about because of some unpleasant, surprising change or news that you were not expecting at all. And that is because that Uranus in Aries is right ahead of your sun sign. So you do have to sort of expect the unexpected right now, and the only way to prepare for that is to make sure that you and your loved ones are very safe. Don't take any chances yourself, and don't be around other people that want to take chances, because they could hurt you right now. And it could be just accidentally hurting you, but still it's your life that could be in danger, Pisces. And that's why I hope you sort of back off right now and try to just stay at home. That might be the best place for you. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show anytime you want by subscribing to it on our website, starborninstitute.org.